YouTube, the Chicago Bulls need to blow it up and enter a rebuild in 2025. And if I'm being honest, they've needed to do this for about 3 straight years now and have just, for some reason, failed to jump the gun on a future rebuild. Their roster is in a really weird place right now where it's pretty mediocre, to be honest, and you have some bad contracts, and if you keep it like the way it is right now, it's just going to stay mediocre. In this video, I'm going to talk about why I think the Bulls need to enter a rebuild and blow their team up, what they can do realistically to engage in that process fast as possible, and what their team should look like moving forward. Let's get right into the video, folks. So the Chicago Bulls losing in the play-in tournament once again, failing to reach the postseason in 2024 should be a really big indicator that, something really drastic needs to change within this franchise. While you do have impressive development and improvement from guys like Coby White, who I think, even as a Sixers fan, should have won Most Improved Player this year over Tyrese Maxey. Coby White really looks like an emerging star in Chicago, but let's be honest, there are some, really big bad contracts on this team and just a mediocre roster in general. Demar Derozan is expected to be a free agent this season and not return to Chicago. I would expect him not to return to Chicago. If he did, I think that'd be a really bad move and, really keep them mediocre for a long time. I think it's time for the Bulls to tank. The Zach Lavine contract in retrospect looks really bad. It's one of the worst contracts in the league right now, with Lavine set to make over $40 million for the next 3 years. Nikola Vucevic, didn't have his best season this year and is aging himself, just like Demar Derozan. Lonzo Ball, who even knows what's happening with him? I don't know that he'll ever play for the Chicago Bulls ever again. He does have a $21 million player option entering 2025, so it'll be interesting to see what he does with that, if he thinks, his knee is good enough to play in 2025 for a team. But you're in a really rough spot if you're the Bulls, because, you have a lot of good players, like I said, so that might make you enticed to keep them around and see if you can add to the team around them year by year to, push you over the top. But let's just be honest with ourselves, that's not happening with this roster and this core. First of all, Zach Lavine's contract is going to make it really tough for him to be traded to anyone who expects to contend for a title. I'm not even sure Zach Lavine is a good enough number 2 option to be able to be on a contending team right now, and with his contract situation, he might have to be a number 1 or number 2 option at minimum, right? So then you have Demar Derozan, who's probably going to walk in free agency, and if you re-sign him, you really extend this, mediocre cycle that you've been in for a couple years now even longer. Patrick Williams, who was supposed to be a versatile, dynamic wing of the future for this team, maybe looks like that's not the case right now because he has been a little bit disappointing if you're a Bulls fan. I think he's a pretty good player and definitely has a role in the NBA. I just don't know if it's as good as what you thought it would be when drafting him. Ayo Dosunmu is another really interesting guard that I think has a lot of potential in this league and really showed that towards the end of the season with the Chicago Bulls in 2024, really playing his best basketball of his career and, in my opinion, earning a shot next season to, give him all the minutes you can and see what he's made of. Alex Caruso, who doesn't fit the timeline of this team, like I said, once again, with guys like Vucevic and Derozan and Lavine. I think he needs to be an asset that maybe you sell in the offseason for a lot of draft picks. I think you get a lot for Alex Caruso because he's a great two-way player, one of the best defenders in the entire NBA, game changer defensively, and just one of the best role players, period. I think you would need to get rid of him in the offseason, get everything you can for him because his value is never going to be higher. Move on from a lot of these, older players like Andre Drummond and Javon Carter and, some of these bad contracts that you have. Like Javon Carter signing in the offseason was, in retrospect, pretty bad for the Bulls. They are really guard heavy, team right now. And if Lonzo Ball comes back, and assuming, you keep guys around like Ayo Dosunmu and, Coby White, those are your guards of the future, it looks like. Let's just say everyone returns on this team right now. You have a massive surplus of, starting caliber guards on this team. The old guys need to be moved on from, in my opinion. So the Bulls currently have a lottery pick. It's a late end lottery pick this season. They currently hold the 11th pick in the 2024 draft, which I would expect them to take a wing or a big in that spot. Like I said, you don't need another, young guard to come in and take more minutes from Ayo Dosunmu and Coby White. Here's what I would do if I was Chicago, bottom line. I would trade Alex Caruso for every pick you can. I would try to see if you can trade Nikola Vucevic or Zach Lavine for as much as you can. It's not going to be a lot that you get for Zach Lavine or Vucevic. These guys are older. They have a lot of money on their contract left, and I would expect the team to pay less given that scenario. But I think you just have to move on from those 2 guys, especially Zach Lavine. It's just not working out, and he's not as good as maybe you thought when you signed him to that contract. He's injury prone. He's not a number 1 option, and you got to move on. Demar Derozan, you let him walk in free agency, shake his hand and say, thank you for your work. Hopefully you succeed in your, next team you go to. We're moving the franchise in a new direction. I think maybe you find a new head coach. Billy Donovan is a pretty solid coach, and I'm not sure he'd want to stick around for a long-term rebuild. Like I said, maybe get some new energy in that, building and get a younger coach who is more accepting of a rebuild type scenario. And most importantly, importantly, you just try to flip most of these older assets like Alex Caruso and guys like that for as many draft picks as you can, and you take a lot of swings in the draft and hope it works out. Like I said, the most positive thing on this roster, that was found through this season is Coby White and Ayo Dosunmu. Mainly Coby White, who looks like he has star potential, all-star type potential at the guard position. Really good two-way guard, and it looks like he's capable of hands down being this team's guard of the future and guy you want to build your team around. He really has shown that, and I think Ayo Dosunmu as well is the other guy in that scenario. Maybe you hang on to Patrick Williams, see what he has, in a bigger role, and maybe you let him work through some of those mistakes without trying to be competitive, and see what he really has. If it doesn't work out, you move on, but keep the young guys around and sell these older assets for a lot of draft picks and just go from there. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be an overnight thing. It's not going to be an overnight thing. Rebuilds take a lot of time. I think the Bulls need to be okay with that, because right now they have a revolving door of mediocrity, and it's just not a good look for their franchise. The Bulls used to be scary. They used to be one of the teams in the NBA that you feared all the time. The Derrick Rose era, the Michael Jordan era. They've kind of just been mid lately, and I hate to say that because I really feel for Bulls fans, man. It doesn't seem like that ownership group is really competent or totally committed to winning in the NBA. It's maybe kind of seems like they're okay with being mediocre as long as they sell tickets. And there's a few teams like that in the NBA, but that doesn't work so well if you're trying to win NBA games, and it doesn't look like, like I said, the ownership is committed to taking 4 years to rebuild and build this team up to where they want it to be, and really make a lot of noise in the Eastern Conference once again and reclaim that status as the Chicago Bulls as the team to be taken seriously. It doesn't seem like they're committed to that. So that is a situation that is really frustrating. Has to be if you're a Bulls fan. I really feel for you guys, because everyone knows the worst thing you can be in this league is mediocre. You either want to be the top team or the bottom team or somewhere close, right? The Bulls are smack dab in the middle, and they have been for quite a few years now. I respect the all-in approach that they took around 2020 and 2021, trading for Vucevic, trading for Lonzo Ball, acquiring Demar Derozan. I mean, these were big moves that I think were really smart at the time, and you gave it a shot. It didn't work out. That's just the way it has to be. Even at their best, I don't think this team is anywhere close to a team like Boston or Milwaukee or New York or Indiana. And they certainly don't have the future of those teams either. So it's time to hit the reset button, Bulls. This core is not good enough, right? And they're getting older every single year, and they're just underperforming every single year. You got to move on and get what you can for them now before you just stay an 8 seed for the rest of your life, right? So this is one of those teams where you're out of moves. You know what I mean? You're out of moves on the chessboard, and you just got to reset the game and try to start over, right? You did all you could with this core, and trying to build this core, like I said, was a good decision at the time. In 2021, they really made a lot of good moves, I thought, but hey, it didn't work out. And now you have an opportunity to hit the reset button in a time where you have an 11th overall pick. You have some really great players on your roster that you can build around, like Coby White, and hopefully the ownership is committed to doing everything it takes to be a winner. You know what I mean? So hopefully they see what's going on here, and hopefully they're okay with maybe losing some money next year to make a ton of money 4 years from now, right? That's kind of what rebuilds are, and great owners see that the way it is, and don't look for quick cash in an 8 seed, right? So I really feel for Bulls fans. Like I said, they just have been through a lot, and ever since the Derrick Rose era, and honestly the game against my Sixers that he hurt his knee, it's been all kind of downhill from there. You've had a lot of chances and a lot of great pieces walk through that building, like Pau Gasol, like Jimmy Butler, who started his career in Chicago and was really great for them, and then Joakim Noah, who was an awesome player, and then ever since then it's just kind of been downhill, right? Dwayne Wade, I forgot to mention. That was kind of weird that happened. I totally forgot about that. I'm sure Bulls fans don't want to remember that either, but either way you slice it, man, the Bulls are just not good enough right now, and they have to do something big, and it's obviously going to have to be a rebuild. You got to start over and work from there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video today. Make sure you guys let me know down in the comment section, if you are a Bulls fan, what advice do you have for your team? Because is it similar to mine, or do you think I was wrong about this video? Maybe there's something I'm not seeing in this situation that can really be a lot different moving forward. But if you agree with me, make sure you guys drop a like on this video, because it really helps out the channel. It means a lot to me if you guys showed support as much as you can, because I just love basketball, man, and I love talking about it, and we upload stuff like this every single day on the channel, and I want you guys to miss it. So make sure you guys subscribe if you guys haven't already. We're trying to grow, we're trying to grind every day, and the Bulls need to start doing that too, man. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day today, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'll catch you guys in the next one. This is your boy D-Have, and as always, peace.